Hello to you and happy Monday. Today's going to be kind of quick. I just want to talk about three very short poems. And with them each, I want to focus in on imagery and theme. You'll remember E. Cummings from Summer Bridge. This is his 1958 poem, L parenthesis A. L parenthesis A, le, a, fa, s, parenthesis, one, Ines. At first, as with so many Cummings poems, it looks like gibberish. However, what I want you to do is pay attention. Pause this video and look at everything that's inside the parentheses and outside the parentheses. Think of it as a puzzle to put together. All right? So pause the video. So now you figured it out, didn't you? The way in which E. Cummings has said that a leaf falls, include the S, right? And then outside of that, it says loneliness. A leaf falls, loneliness. What is E. Cummings doing here? Well, one thing I want to suggest is that he's combating loneliness by playing with the very concept itself, breaking it down to its constitutive parts. Even though he's broken it even further than its constitutive parts, right? Leaf and falls are both monosyllabic, and he's turned falls into three different elements and leaf into two. He's breaking up these ideas. Loneliness, even more so. However, he's given us a little bit of a hint, right? He's emphasizing the oneness inside of loneliness. This process of E. Cummings that we've looked at a little bit over now, I guess, the last 7 months, 8 months, really challenges us to rethink language and to rethink concepts. We might know what we think loneliness is, but by making us look at the word and piece together the word and spend time with the word, I think we find a certain mode of comfort and togetherness in that process. Similarly, Cummings challenges us about thinking of nature. Is a falling leaf lonely? Or is this a way in which you can connect to nature, make an observation in it? And then just as a reminder, here's that great poem, Diminutive, that we've kind of began our poetic career with. Diminutive, this park is empty. Everybody's elsewhere, except me, sexy Wheelbarrow, tomb. And to here, rain in the rain. And you'll remember we talked about that being this image almost of the rain falling. Margaret Atwood's 1971 poem, You Fit Into Me. Margaret Atwood is an author we haven't talked about. She is Canadian. She's still alive and writing today, though she's probably best known for her work with long-form fiction. Here's her poem. You fit into me like a hook into an eye, a fish hook, an open eye. This poem is phenomenal for the way that it returns on itself and takes control of its own metaphor. The couplet, you fit into me like a hook into an eye, is beautiful on its own. It implies a certain solidness that you fit. But notice it's not like into me, it's into me, it's not onto me. There's a real intimacy that goes with that, maybe even a penetrative motion that holds these two figures together. The hook into the eye is a specific kind of link. And here it is on the page. You have a loop, and then you have a hook, and it clasps, and then it holds things together. The place you see this most commonly today are in the connections on a bra. But then Atwood takes control of her metaphor. No, it's not that hook. It's a very specific kind of hook. Stop taking your simile and making whatever you want to do with it. I'm going to take control of my own poem. It's a fish hook. And then this devastating last line, it's an open eye. When I searched eye to add this clip art, there's a lot of really gross images of eyes, so I went with the cartoon image. Now suddenly, what do we realize? It went from being what is perhaps a love poem to what now is a poem of violence. There is something very dangerous about this situation, something harmful. You fit into me. You are the hook. I am the eye, and you are a fish hook in my open eye. And then lastly, William Carlos Williams's very, very famous poem, The Red Wheelbarrow from 1923. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rain, water, beside the white chickens. Let me read that again, only this time I'm not going to add the lineated breaks. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. This poem, it's been famously said, is nothing but a snapshot of an image. This is a point at which you can't interpret poetry anymore. So obviously that also seems to be an invitation to press on it, because it raises several questions, including this ambiguity. So much depends upon. What? What is it that depends upon these things? Well, in a way, it's kind of a cycle. So much, say, in, let's use farming. So much in farming or rural or gardening life depends upon the wheelbarrow, right? How else do you transport a large amount of soil and move things around in the land? Well, so much depends on that wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater. What's that tell us? Well, in order to have crops to grow and to work in nature, you need to have the rainwater that then you kind of reuse, and it helps the crops. And then that rainwater and that wheelbarrow is beside the white chicken. Suddenly we have a protein source, an egg source. And think today, are you eating more eggs than you ever have before during the coronavirus? I certainly am, and I know others are too, because there's always these news stories about it. Suddenly we realize that the world and like our food sources are all interconnected. So much depends upon these things, not just the individual farmer, but if that farmer is going to get us the eggs, and if we are going to have a society that actually depends on itself. So similarly to Margaret Atwood's previous poem, this idea of connection is there. Only here we don't have that dangerous sense of connection. Carlos Williams is also being very playful here, because look at how he's used his line breaks. Imagine now you have something like this, right? He's turned his lines themselves into wheelbarrow shapes. So here are a few questions that I want you to think about for the forum. Just pick one, throw it up there. A critical question. Which development of an image do you find most emotionally evocative? How do you think the poem achieved this effect? Number 2, each of these poems looks at a specific theme and seems to universalize it. How did 2 poems do so differently? Number 3, a critical question. Do you think that I overread any of these poems? Is it possible for a poem to just be the words themselves, to just describe an image, as in the Carlos Williams? And here's a creative one. Begin a poem with "so much depends upon" and focus on developing a very specific image. If you would like another version of the creative poem, take any word from a dictionary and break it up into constitutive parts in order to create a new poem. All right, very good. It's been a pleasure being back with you, and I look forward to talking about Gatsby tomorrow.